Okay, in this first lesson, we're going to start by building out the underlying structure of our character's hair. Okay, so we're going to start with this basic character here, and you can see that there is currently no hair whatsoever in this scene. So we're going to start completely from scratch and build this up. Now, when it comes to creating character hair, one of the first things that we need to do is first decide on the styling that we want to go for. So in my case, I'm going to go for something like this, where we have some nice individual hair strands, some nice layered hair in here, some nice kind of separations, a few little wispy curls, and so on. So let's go ahead and start the first step of building up this hair. Now, when it comes to using Maya hair, there really aren't any traditional styling tools that we can use to brush the hair, to comb the hair, to change the direction. So a lot of what we do with our character's hairstyle with Maya hair is a lot of modeling. So let's start by really modeling out the basic shape of this hair. So to do this, I like to start with a series of NURBS curves, and we can loft those into a surface and basically build sort of a hood of hair around our character. So I'll start with the front view. Let's go to Create, CV Curve Tool. And in the front view, let's just start by drawing out the hair curve. There, we'll pull this down sort of to shoulder length. There we go. Now at the moment, you can see that the hair is inside of our character's head, which makes it a little bit difficult to see. So sometimes what I like to do is to create a construction plane. That way I can build on top of that, and I can move my construction plane in front of my character. So let's go to Create, down to Construction Plane, and we'll choose the axis that we want to use for this. In my case, looks like a YX would be the one to use. That will put it in the front view. Go ahead and hit Apply. There we are. So there's our construction plane. Now I can pick that up, move this in front of my character, just like so, and now make this object live. I'll turn off my grid background to make this a little bit easier to see. And now with this construction plane set to live, now I can come in and build my curve. So once again, use the CV Curve tool. There we are. And now just start to draw out the shape of my character's hair. So the number of curves that you use are not critically important at this point. We can always come back and adjust the number of CVs a little bit later. But essentially, what I'm doing is just coming through and tracing out the basic shape of my character's hair. So trying to create sort of a part right there. There we are, and bringing just some of these little hair strands down. Tracing out, again, just the very, very rough shape of our character's hair. So tracing that down to something like that. Now, let's start to take a look at some of these. So let's go back to this first strand. So you can see there's these strands that are stacked up on our construction plane. So I could take this construction plane, disable the live option on this. Now start to take these different strands, and let's start by maybe just snapping the centers up to these top vertices. That'll make it a little bit easier to work with. So I'll press and hold the D key on my keyboard. That's D as in dog. And now start to move that center point up here. What I should also be able to do is, while pressing and holding the D key, I should also be able to press and hold the V key as well. So D as in dog, as well as V as in vertex, holding both of those down, and I should be able to snap these two together. Sometimes it can be a little bit trickier, sometimes a little bit easier said than done. So sometimes it might just be easier to move those like that. There we are, and we'll pull those back to where they align a little bit better with the character's head. There we are. And we'll do the same up here. So again, press and hold the D key. Try to align that vertex a little bit better, or align that center point to that end. Pull this back. And if we ever needed to, we could come back at this point and grab some of these CVs that make up this curve. Come in and start to shape those a little bit better so that they fit on that head. There we go. And it's really just a process of grabbing these different curves and moving these around. So at the moment, make it a little bit easier, what I'll do is disable the selection of my geometry. That'll keep me from having to accidentally worry about grabbing that construction plane. Again, press and hold the D key. Move my vertex, or move my center, rather. Pull that back. There we are. Now as we start to get a little bit further back in this back part of the head, we can start to take these different curves and then angle those so that they fit a little bit better with the contours of the head. So as we start to take this curve and pull that back, this might be a good opportunity to start to take some of these curves and begin manipulating those so that, again, they fit just a little bit better on the curvature of the head. Press the 4 key on my keyboard. There we are. Start to take some of these different CVs, pull those out, again, just so that they match a little bit better with the overall curvature of the head. And really, it's just a matter of continuing to make these different adjustments and building out more of these curves so that we get just sort of this rough contour that follows the head. Okay, so just to move things along a little bit faster, I've gone ahead and taken the liberty of finishing up the rest of these curves. So once I have these different curves that have been built out, what I can start to do is loft these together and make just a very rough shape of the hair that I can then build on top of. So being super precise with these curves is not just all that important, because really we're just using this as a very, very rough guideline to start to build more precise hair. So with these curves, what I should be able to do is start to grab these and sort of back here to about halfway around the head, we'll take these different curves, go to surfaces, and then loft those together. Go ahead and reset the settings for my loft, make sure everything is at its default settings, and we get something that looks like that. So really, just continue bringing that around. So I'll grab the second half of this hair, here, grab the rest of those curves that make up this half of the head, and once again, loft those together. So as you can see, just a very, very rough shape of the hair, and it conforms relatively well to the overall shape of the head. If we needed our hair to be maybe a little bit poofier or a little bit more body, then we can always start to do those a little bit later when we build our more precise hair curves. But for now, this is just a very, very rough preliminary step to building our more precise hair. So to build out these bangs for our character, we can start to take one of these central curves, pull that forward just a little bit more. There we are, and duplicate that again, pull that around, again, just to match up with the shape of our character's head a little bit better. Start to grab some of these different points here. I might press the B key on my keyboard to turn on my brush or my soft select. There we go, start to grab some of those different curves. And again, just pulling those to match a little bit better with some of the other contours of the head. I can use the up and down arrow keys on my keyboard. Grab some of these different CVs. Pull those out. Might be a little bit rough, but that's okay. These don't have to be very precise at all because, again, we're just using these as a very, very rough guideline to start to build some more precise hair curves. So we might also start to bring that in just a little bit further, get that to align a little bit more with the overall shape of the head. Again, using the up and down arrow keys on my keyboard, start to pull some of those in and around. There we are. That should work out pretty well. So once we have that set, once again, Just grab these different curves and then loft those together. Okay, and now we have some surfaces that we can start to build our more precise hair curves on top of. So we'll look at that process in our next lesson.